Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eddie Marcus, and I'm here one more time. Message that I'm getting that I want to share with you is this. The one of the worst crises, one of the worst evils that ever been perpetrated against the country of the United States of America is Donald J. Trump. This man has challenged almost every system of America and has gotten away with it. He's in court, but I understand he's been in court most of his life. He's seen other men go to jail that work for him, that does his biddings, who've gone to prison. Some he's pardoned out of prison, got others held hostage, have been impeached a couple of times by the things that he has done against this nation, and have had so much power behind his evilness that other men who are evil but wanted to pretend to be good have just fallen buckled in the knees. And this beaten and incited an insurrection against the people of the United States of America to take over this governmental system and dictate to millions of you, maybe 300 million of you, what to do and how to do it, because he's the best brains. Not only that, has influenced millions of people to accept lies as truths, to accept make-believe, made-up stories as facts. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think about this. After the insurrection, everybody knows the role he played, and he's still out. But he's not just out. He's out still championing the evilness that he has been condemned by this nation for doing, and yet he's still out there. And I think about men like Dr. Martin Luther King talked about love, and you killed him. Malcolm X talked about love, and you killed him. And this man's talking about the worst things that you can talk about and doing the worst things that you can do. At least this is what we as people have been told. People are filling the prisons for violating the same things that he has violated. And yet, what's happening? Now, you might ask yourself, what is happening? How is this happening? How can this be happening? Well, look at it. What is he doing? He's saying to white people that they are threatened by people of color. And he's to be their savior. And in order to be their savior, they must be willing to lie, to cheat, to steal, to kill, to go to war, to do anything. This is what the whole world is about. This what is being held up before us right now. That's what the whole world is about. Somebody wanting to rule at any cost, and people who are going along with it at any cost. And this is why I stand before you and remind you that these are just men, but there's a power that these men can't measure to. And oh yes, I know most of us want to live But in order to live, to really live, you got to be willing to die. Because you cannot live in bondage. You might be able to breathe and walk to and fro, but you cannot live. You see, the gentleman that's going, or went today, I believe, up in space, the billionaire, you ask him, he'll call that living. You can't even fill up your tank of gas, and you put up with it because you don't know the truth. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think is going on? Why is Donald Trump able to pull this off? Because the nation, I've heard people say, is ran by white people, white men. And whether we, the public, would like to agree with it or not, white men don't want to give up. And what Donald Trump is doing, whether we want to agree with it or not, is working fine for them. It's like Mitch McConnell saying he's not going to do anything to help the Democrats. He's not going to do anything to help the other people. He's not going to do anything. So that's what you got the white people saying. We're not going to do anything to make things right with society. We are numbered, so we got to keep the power. Keep the power. And whatever it takes, we have to lie to cheat. We do whatever it takes to keep the power so we can control and manipulate them. And ladies and gentlemen, that was what happened in the Garden of Eden with that lie. You will not surely die. You are dead, living in sin, living in hell. And if you knew it, you wouldn't do it. And see, the thing that Trump is doing is moving so fast. It's like they're panicking. They're trying their best to take over. I'm talking about white people now. I'm not talking about Donald Trump alone, because white people are going along with this. You hear these guys on social media talking about Donald Trump and how crazy these people who are following Donald Trump just got to be. They are doing nothing but sitting up there talking. How many of them agree that everybody should have education, access to it, unlimited and unrestricted? How many of them agree that everybody should have access to health care? How many of them agree that everybody should have a job, and that by working it should entitle them to all of the benefits that comes from people working? How many of them would agree on that? How many of them are saying that? How many of them are talking about that? How many of them are telling the Democrats to do that? How many of them are talking to Joe Biden, the leader, white man of the Democratic Party? How many people are telling him to do that? And if they are, why isn't he doing it? Is it because they're all working together? That Trump is just trying to take us in a hurry because he is afraid and he wants to get that kind of power right away to protect himself? It's really not about you guys. It's really to protect himself. And that the Democrats are just kind of slowing him down a little bit, because if they are not standing up for what is proper, then, ladies and gentlemen, this is not on the politicians. This is not on the senators. This is not on those of the House of Representatives. This is on you. You got a group of people that's trying to manipulate you and put you in the worst bondage situation you ever had in your life. They're trying to make slavery back yesterday look like something that was beautiful compared to what they got planned for you and what they are willing to do to you just to stay in power. Because the evilness in them will not allow them to believe that that same evilness is not in you, especially when they look in other places where people who look just like me execute the same kind of damage on people who look like me as they do, and on others, which is a sign that is happening all over the world. which is a sign, ladies and gentlemen, that there are some special people. They are those people who care enough about everybody that they won't do anything to harm people. And yet they'll stand up that every individual should have the access to life just like everybody else. And this they will put their lives on the line for. Now, I call that a special kind of people. That's what I call Dr. King. Some of you might say, well, Dr. King is gone and you're still here. Yes, you're still here to still be a slave. Yes, you're a slave in everything you do. Maybe you'll get an egg and some grits, and a buttered biscuit, a cup of coffee. You might even get a snack, a lunch, then dinner. You might even go to bed and sleep up and have you some sex. You know, ain't nothing complete unless you have that. Wake up the next morning, you start the whole thing all over again. Whole thing all over again. But that's only because you are asleep. You are asleep. And there's no way I can wake you. But I'm telling you, you are asleep. Think about it. Bye-bye. I don't know if I want to